and it was with this guy that was Ed something or other. I can't remember.
Kemper? Yeah, creepy. I cut her head off and fucked it. You're leading this. You leading this show today? How are we doing this?
No, just grab bag.
Grab bag.
We're gonna play team hockey. Team hockey.
All right.
Old time hockey.
Cycle
all
the
right?
puck. Cycle the puck, Rory.
Yeah. Pucks on net.
Yeah.
All right.
Triangles.
Top cheddar, Rory. That's
Iron
what you're
horse.
going for.
Ducks on a pond. Can of corn.
Iron
can
horse.
of corn.
Iron horse.
Changing genres on you.
Put another boat on the water, Rory. All right. Well, we're back here on the Skimbo Lounge. The stars at night are big and bright.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
That was just bound to fail. I don't. There's a delay. What are you doing?
You should have told me you were doing it.
You fool.
I am Alex, of course.
And I am Rory, as always. And I don't know if you noticed, but that wasn't me talking just a second ago. Got a wonderful guest on the pod, one of the OGs. I think the first guest the Skimbo Lounge ever had.
Back in the Austin, Texas
yet again.
days.
Back in the Austin, Texas days. Coming live from Austin, Texas. It's Geoff.
Friend of the pod,
Hey, Geoff.
Hey guys, it is. This is something I've been looking forward to since the last time we recorded. I've had a lot of things building up, Rory, that I've been waiting to say.
Oh, yeah?
to you.
All
shit.
good things, I'm sure.
Since that podcast, yeah.
All good things. It's always good things. People have nothing but wonderful things to say to me because I'm such a luminous beacon of hope.
Yes.
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear what's under the cap here, Geoff.
Let's get some Festivus going and get the airing of grievances.
I'm gonna beef with you, Krauser.
Well, I didn't really have much I was upset about other than the fact that you guys moved away. So that part wasn't great. But I have been looking forward to the return to the podcast.
That was good. Well, it worked out for you in the end anyways. You're getting married soon. You never know.
Maybe. if this quarantine ever ends.
Well, I mean, think about it. If we'd been around, we would have made you way more homebodies. Hey, guys, I met this girl. She's pretty cool. But fuck it, man. Stay home and play Skyrim. Yeah, you're probably right.
I will.
Never would have worked
I will
out.
be marrying Marla someday, but who knows when that's going to happen.
Oh. Well, yeah, we were going to talk a little bit about that. What's the deal with, I'm sure you had all these plans and then the coronavirus hit. What's it like planning a wedding? Even maybe you're even not planning it right now just because you're waiting for everything to settle. But what's it like knowing that you want to get married in a coronavirus
Well,
world?
how far did you get planning the wedding, first of all?
So we got about 3 venues in to just kind of visiting. We're very, very early stages. We kind of set a tentative date of fall 2021. So we were thinking maybe late September, October, that time. As you guys know, it's mighty hot in Texas. So we were shooting for something a little later in the year just to be a little bit better for everybody coming down from the Northeast.
That's the nicest thing I've heard you say in a long time.
I know, right? I was thinking
we wanted a sweltering July wedding.
Well, I was thinking that if you guys are going to be coming down here for a bachelor party and all this stuff, you're going to be down here in Texas sun for a while. So if we could do it a little bit later in the year, that might help Roy look a little less red in the wedding pictures.
Oh, as soon as I got the date, I was going to start edging out into the heat to go, I've got to do this. I must get some sort of something going on or I will die.
I'm glad
I will die. I remember 112 degree heat in Texas. I remember it. All too well.
Remember when it got to like 90 degrees and I had you guys come outside because I said, guys, it cooled down outside.
This is what I remember. I remember mid-July when I was like, okay, I'm doing it. And you're like, okay, Rory. Okay. I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm going to the mailbox. I'm going to go check her mail, guys. And you get like 3 steps outside. You're like, I want to take a nap.
Yeah.
My birthday's in July, and my mom sent me like a gift box from home and decided like one of the things she would send me was like this can of like trail mix kind of like thing. It had like Reese's in it and like little peanut butter cups, and it was literally a ball at the bottom of the thing. It was just soup that had then hardened. I was like, how do I get this out of here? I had to like shake it and smash it against things to get because I still ate it because I'm a glutton. But it was just that's the kind of heat it is. Everything that you don't think is going to melt is going to melt. So the things that do melt really melt.
Even your steering wheel. I remember my steering wheel got soft one day because it was so hot, and then I touched it, and you know how? Do you ever notice when you're driving, if you're not driving your car, the little where the finger divots are on the steering wheel may not line up exactly where you like them to. You know, if you're driving a different car. Yeah. Well, the car that I was driving, they didn't line up how I liked them. But that steering wheel was all of a sudden soft that day. And let me tell you,
changed.
That was the one time that I've been thankful for the Texas heat. The one time. Because it's ruined.
Whose car did you
one
do this
time.
To, Marla's?
No, this was my car. This was that blue Ford Focus that I ended up getting before we moved out of the old house.
Oh, no shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think people understand. There's this thing from people who have like lived there their whole lives, who obviously, you know, arguably understand the heat more than the rest of us, but also maybe don't because they don't know what cold is.
Yeah.
Where they're like, it's a dry heat. It's a dry heat. I go, it's a dry heat because all of my sweat is evaporating into the sky.
And it's not
as I die on the sidewalk.
And it's not even dry. It's like 100% humidity here today. I mean, it's not even a dry heat. Like, people that come at me with that, I'm like, what's dry about it? Like, what humidity scale are you using versus the one that we're using in the Northeast?
Go on.
Like, get out of here with that.
Well, it's like I thought because I lived in San Francisco for a little while out there with my uncle, and during the winter, you'd watch people in 40-degree weather out there, which is pretty damn cold for them, just freak out about it. Oh, it's so freezing, and I'm outside like a t-shirt, like this is great, this is totally fine. Like, what are you guys talking about? And then you go back to Vermont where it's February and it's 7 degrees out and the wind chill brings it to -5, and then you watch that one kid with the bad parents walking to school in the shorts with the blizzard
and wet hair.
Oh, God bless you, son.
They were too deep into their heroin nod to check the weather.
Yeah.
It was like, it was 60 degrees yesterday, they'll be fine. No.
No,
no,
it's okay. That's where we're from. So I feel
then,
like people have a hard time figuring that out.
And then we're like, oh my God, it's 7 degrees. This is terrible. And then you got the people up in the upper Yukon in Canada that are like, this is
7 degrees.
Straight balmy. Consider yourself lucky.
Get on the short sleeves, bud. Just out they go.
So to get back to the wedding of it all,
right.
So you had set a tentative date and you looked at venues, and that's as far as you got.
Basically, yeah. So I have a lot of great pictures on my phone of all these venues. I even had the forethought to take a picture of the little sign they put up that says, what the name of the venue, like open house, so that the line of pictures I have after that, I know are all part of that venue. So we can keep a nice little photo album. Yeah.
That's how you know he was taking it seriously. This wasn't just the bullshit.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to have to pull my end because I got lucky with who I've ended up with. So I got to make sure I
listen.
pull
Anyone
my end.
who's seen you knows.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'm not gonna debate you there.
Oh, come on. Listen, I'm the self-deprecating one in this podcast, buddy, okay? There's not room enough for two people to be down on themselves like that.
Well, it's this whole coronavirus thing, man. Like Koch was saying in the last podcast, who gives a shit about anything anymore?
Yeah.
Feel good about myself.
Well, it's coming to an end.
Feel bad about myself. Who cares?
Whatever, man. Whatever.
It doesn't.
What's that been like out in Texas?
I mean, for us, it's been fine. Like, we're taking it pretty serious as far as quarantine and everything, so we're going out pretty much only for groceries and take out food on the weekend, so it's a little tough to keep sane,
gauge.
And it's just like we're with each other all the time, so it's just kind of making sure we still understand that we respect each other and not to bite each other's heads off, because it's just realizing that whatever frustrations might happen. It's like the coronavirus is really the reason, because they didn't exist beforehand. It's like, I don't know.
So you like accidentally step on her toe, and you guys are like, "Damn you, coronavirus!"
Yeah,
Shoves Geoff down the stairs.
yeah.
What hell have you wrought?
No, it's real. I don't know. I think it's just understanding the situation we're in right now is different than anything else you've ever had to deal with. So,
Sure, totally unprecedented on all fronts. I'm just, how's the rest of the community? Are they all taking it pretty seriously too? Or?
Generally, it's the like HEB, the grocery store, doesn't let you in without mask on. It's like everybody's taking it pretty seriously. As far as businesses keeping people from coming in that are not going to abide by the rules, but it's Texas, so there's going to be places that are like, we're proud to not require you to wear a mask and all that, that kind of bullshit. So you just stay away from those.
Gun
yeah, you
stores.
just stay away from those places. There's the Palazzo strip club is opening up this weekend. It's Memorial Day. They can't.
Going to be a lot of Mortal Kombat
Yeah,
fetishes out there that have been realized. Oh, look at that girl in that mask. That is so hot.
Yeah, they can't sacrifice this holiday about dead soldiers.
People got to stop being sad. They got to look at some titties.
Yeah, what did these soldiers die for after all? If not for some dollar bills to get thrown at some naked women that probably disappointed
This
their
is why
fathers.
my buddy died in Fallujah. Dance for me, you strange whore.
And I'm proud to be in the man. I said keep dancing.
I didn't watch my buddies die face down in the muck to not be able to swipe this credit card through your butt like it's a credit card machine.
I was like, Johnny, you washed out. You didn't go to war. Like I said, I did not do those things. Oh, that's sad. I'm still waiting to see like a Karen out front of like the local supermarket.
The Karens
and
are
just be
going
like,
wild.
I'm putting this on the YouTubes.
Oh, the Hannaford.
The world is
The
watching.
Hannaford in Barrie has got to be probably the worst place on earth right now.
Back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I imagine.
It's pretty bad. But I haven't seen anybody pull like a full on. It's a lot of paranoia. I haven't seen anyone go full on Karen about it. You know what I mean? Like these videos where it's people banging on the plexiglass and tipping shit over.
It's crazy.
What the fuck
I
is
saw
wrong
one
with
woman.
these people?
Yeah, I saw one woman who was like, I have a medical condition that I do not have to explain to you that keeps me from being able to
saw that
wear a
one.
mask. And I was like, you're so full of shit.
You're a fucking moron.
Even the heaviest asthmatics out there in the world are like, yeah, you know what? I have a little bit of trouble putting the mask on for long periods of time, but even I can suffer through going to my Costco.
If you can't
and heading through.
like this is going to be a thing on video that you guys will see, but to the listeners at home, when you'd pull your shirt up over your face because somebody farted, just like this, and you're like, oh my god, I don't want to smell that. How much did your T-shirt help or stop you from breathing? I mean,
Come on.
get real. That's what most of these masks are made out of. They suck.
Yeah.
They're not fun to do. Rory, I see you've got a beard now. They're not fun to wear with a beard. They're not.
No, it's so hot out.
They're not great.
And I wear a scarf too when I do it. Like when I wear this thing, I wear like the kind of scarf. I look like a bandito.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. And and I go out, and when I come back, I'm like, oh, it is so warm. But it's much preferable.
To your parents dying.
Exactly. But so, like, even for me, who I have had the fucking coronavirus, when I go out, I'm like, I know I'm not. Like even though I haven't been tested for antibodies, so it's better safe than sorry for me to go out and do that. But knowing that of most of people, like I'm not a high risk person, I still do it because I know it makes people feel better to a certain extent. And that in a day when I think there's a lot less trust going around for your fellow man, shocker, I can't imagine why. I feel like that's even a decent thing to do. I don't understand why it's so fucking hard. Do you need people to see your snaggletooth out there in the world? Is that what it is? Because I got to tell you, most of the people that I've seen not wearing the masks out of protest, I'm like, I'm not surprised by that at all. Like not even a little bit.
I mean,
it always seems to be the same types of people.
It's the people that can't stand getting told what to do. I'm one of those people, self-admitted. But when it affects other people, that's when I'm like, okay, if me just wearing a mask for the 30 minutes I'm out of the house at the grocery store will stop Grandma Ethel from getting sick and dying, great. I am all in. That is fine with me. Same thing as if a homeless guy is like looking pretty destitute and it only costs me $1 to maybe he doesn't spend that on food, but he's got the chance to, and he never would have if I didn't give him that $1. It's like, it's that same mentality where it's like people that totally disregard others' well-being, and they're like, well, I'm patriotic. It's like, well, no, not at all.
No, you're
not at all. Because if you really
want to, you're selfish.
Yeah, if you really want to go by the tenets of what the country's supposed to be about, we're all in this together. You know what I mean? And it's just,
I do.
And it's just,
that's what makes me laugh so hard.
And it's because it's been made so easy for these people for so long to exercise their freedoms and be told that that's a legitimate and be told that's a legitimate viewpoint. It's like all these, they always talk about, oh, we got all these snowflakes that are getting taught in school. They're all special. They get to do their special little things. You know, they get to make sure that they get their space, and they're liberals, you know. Like, and they're going to grow up one way.
The irony is palpable, isn't it?
And they're pussies, you know, and all that. And it's like, well, really, like, look at yourself. Like, who got brought up in the way that's like, it might have been framed as like a manly thing, where it's like, you do what you want to do. You take care of your own. You take care of yourself. And it's like, well, who's the selfish one? You know,
there's no discipline involved in that.
You're just putting a little different filter in front of it. You know, that's all you're doing.
Yep. Well, it's just so easy to spin the rhetoric, though, when you only listen to the people who agree with you, and that's the problem. And it's the scary thing about not just the internet, but the 24-hour news cycles. I would love to see a news network out there where at certain times... Actually, you know what? I take that back, because the problem that we have with that sort of cycle of media is that it's so much easier and way more profitable for them to find their audience and pander to that audience to keep them around. That's how you make your money. You don't make your money by giving objective, informationally based news anymore. If somebody just came out and said, this thing happened, there was a tragedy, there was a shooting in Las Vegas, this many people died, this person was suspected the shooter, this happened, this is the information. That would be news.
Yep.
It would be journalism. But now what you get is, it came out that person, he had supported Barack Obama or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And they harp on that fucking shit because there's a political lean one way or another. Obviously, it wasn't Barack Obama. I'm going to say that before people get pissed off. It's always somebody else.
Yeah.
I wonder who. And there I am doing the same thing, but I'm not a journalist, you'll notice. So I get away with it.
Well, I think you're just about as qualified as a lot of them are nowadays.
Well, I did apply for Hannity, so let's see how that goes.
You know, I'm still waiting for the interview. I'm not going to hold my breath for you, but I think they're exactly what they're looking for.
I would love to get a call from Fox News about applying for one of those jobs and having them be like, well, what's your political leaning? Well, first off, I think you're all morons. Hannity's a dick. I think that you guys all have a terrible spin, and I would like to bring some information into the writer's room.
I don't think that's going to get you
get this guy the fuck out of here. I don't think
that's going to get you through the
door. Hire this man. And then they bring me in, and I walk in, and somebody shoots me with a Luger.
I mean, the problem is either of you guys are talented enough to play the part. I mean, I would want to see, like, Tucker Carlson, like, make him just a straight-up actor. I bet he makes some great movies, because he cannot honestly believe the bullshit that he's saying. You know what I mean? It's because he knows.
Authoritarianism is a hell of a
somewhere there's a universe where Tucker Carlson made all the Adam Sandler movies, and Adam Sandler is on Fox. He's like, what's wrong with black people? It's so strange.
Well, there was another mass shooting today. Liberals are going to try to blame it on Donald Trump, but we all know it was that penguin.
What are you doing, penguin?
What are you doing with that AR-15, penguin?
Expressing your freedoms? Of course you are.
Come back to the zoo. It's Guantanamo Bay.
I honestly wish we lived in that world. But Only because only if I had lived in this one, so I could see the humor in it. Because those guys are like, "Fuck that Adam Sandler piece of shit. I wish he could be fucking cool like Chris Hansen or Hannity or fucking whoever the fuck it is."
Chris Hansen. I don't know about his personal life,
Chris
but I'll
Hansen,
tell you, he took a lot of pedos off the streets. Like that's
Yeah.
fine with it.
No, he didn't take a lot of them off the street. He interviewed a lot of them before they were taken off the streets. Let's be honest. Just take a seat.
Let's help the courts help their lawyers make a sympathetic case by recording how stupid they are before they get prosecuted.
Well, we talked a couple episodes ago about those reality show guys who did like the cheaters show who gets stabbed. How did Chris Hansen not fucking die?
I don't listen to the show, so I don't remember that.
Yeah, of course.
Just kidding. I do.
It's all classy, really classy stuff. Thanks for railroading me. This is something we haven't done in a while. But I just can't imagine Chris Hansen. Why did he ever get stabbed? You would have thought of anybody to get stabbed. I guess pedophiles are cowards. What a shock.
I feel like at that point,
I'm Chris Hansen. Just take a sheet. He's got a gun.
I feel like at that point, maybe they knew there were cameras because by the time he revealed it, what he was doing, like.
What else you got to lose, though? You're about to die in prison. There's footage of you going to an underage girl's house. I feel like that's kind of frowned upon in today's prison system.
I mean, and another part of the problems in our society that don't have to get addressed necessarily here, but being a pedophile on the internet, you're getting out of prison. Murdering a television host on camera, you're not. So I think at a certain point they're balancing what they're willing to get in trouble for, and someone that's going to be a pedophile, maybe not a murderer as well. You know,
but you never know. Maybe you go to prison, you know you're about to get stabbed a bunch.
Oh, 100%. They get treated poorly.
Killed.
Sexual offenders get treated poorly in prison.
If anything I learned from SVU, it's that sexual-based offenses are particularly heinous.
They are.
I learned so much from USA. I gotta tell you.
That show has jumped the shark. By the way, I don't.
Oh, I have not been. I don't have cable anymore. I watch everything on Netflix or Hulu.
Well, it's on Hulu.
It is.
All of it.
Oh boy,
all of it.
I just lost all of tomorrow.
All of it.
I gotta tell you.
And I mean, it's still a very entertaining show. But
I'm gonna get me some Stabler going on.
But there's not as much of the episodes are not as satisfying. Like it's always because it reflects the world. I guess you know what? I'm not giving enough credit to SVU. Right now, the world sucks. Like we know that Donald Trump sucks and is probably going to get reelected again. You know, so it's like we know that's the bad guy.
Actually,
but
I did see a projection that said that he was set up to lose in a landslide defeat. But then again, we all remember what happened last time, so I take it all. You know,
we'll see after. I don't know how much people how much attention is paid to current events, but Joe Biden's interview this morning.
Oof.
I did not watch it. Why don't we run that?
So he was on the Breakfast Club, and maybe you can pull the audio for it. I don't know if that's.
He was on the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, with Charlemagne the God, like that on Hot.
Yeah, I know the Breakfast Club. What the fuck was Joe?
Yeah.
What the fuck was Joe Biden doing on the Breakfast Club?
Exactly what you think.
Well,
did he rap? Did he drop a hot beat and
no? He
lay down some bars.
He dropped a hot take. That's for sure.
Go
so
on.
He's getting interviewed, and towards the end of the interview, and Charlemagne the God is basically like, "Oh, Joe, tell us, whatever else you want to say on this shit, whatever, And Joe Biden says, "Well, if you're gonna vote for Trump, you're not black." Something I may be paraphrasing, Koch. You could probably pull it up. I don't know if you have the access to that audio, but basically that's what he said, and he said it in jest, and I do that in air quotes, in jest, because that's what his team is saying afterward. But it gets to a certain point where it's like if you gotta do damage control after
something
single thing your candidate says, maybe you picked the wrong one.
Well, I just heard he picked his VP as Klobuchar as well. I don't know.
She's being vetted.
Confirmed.
She was being vetted. I think after today, it's going to end up being Harris or Abrams.
So?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be when they do it.
I don't know.
When they do it, it's going to be the most pandering bullshit that the Democrats always do. It's like by picking a minority, they don't have to worry about minority issues.
Right.
You know, and it's just around and around we go.
I'd like to think that the American people, at least when it comes to the people paying attention to the choices of the Democratic Party, aren't the type of people you want to assume you can pander to these days. I feel like all that's going to do is just put Biden's foot out. Look at him pull out the handgun. He shoots himself right in it. There's no way that it's not going to hurt him if you don't take a really intelligent and nuanced approach to these things, which he clearly isn't.
Yeah.
And I worry that it's going to be the same thing that Hillary Clinton did, where she's like, I've got this in the bag. I don't need to worry about this shit. Let's go freewheeling. I'm smoking a joint. I don't think she did that, but
she had that in her bag right next to the hot sauce that she also didn't have in her bag.
It's one of those things, man. I shudder to think that they would be so nonchalant in assuming that they've got this thing wrapped up. I know that there's a lot of Republicans out there that are particularly disappointed in Donald Trump and his actions that have said, I won't be voting for him.
But they're not being given a reason to vote against him either. They're just
it just means they're not going to vote, or maybe they'll go third party for some other guy who fits the authoritarian bill.
Justin Amash. Let me plug Justin Amash. Don't like the guy, but if you're a Republican and listening to this podcast, go vote for that guy. Vote for him. Vote for him a ton. Justin Amash. Justin Amash at Justin Amash on Twitter. Justin Amash. That's your guy.
That'll reach our heavily Republican base.
Need him.
A lot of Republicans out there listening. I just, I look at two authoritarians is what I'm seeing. I see Joe Biden as being a war hawk, and we talked about it last podcast. There's the potential, I think, we're going to go to war with Iran if we get Joe Biden because there's just too much profit there, and they are a likely target. We're not going to war with Saudi Arabia. That's not going to happen. So who's it going to be? And Joe Biden's going to ramp up conflict.
Yep.
That's what he's going to do. There's just too much money in that. And that's what the established political system is about. It's about generating money.
Well, he's got...
Whether it be through the government or whether it be for yourself.
He's got too much gumption not to,
Gumption. Good old man word. I like that. It's good.
Well, we can veer off of...
Yes, you're getting married. How many of those places that you went to look at got closed because of the coronavirus? Damn it, we're going to get back into it. Shit.
All of them. Basically, they all. Yeah, I mean, we visited a lot. They were all really nice. Like, they're all very, very nice places. But obviously, nothing's going on. Everybody else is pushing their weddings back because of this whole thing. Colin's wedding getting pushed back. So, I assume anyway.
Yep. Didn't get invited to that one. I don't know.
He's not the type. He's gonna soldier on. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Come, you wear a fucking mask. You're not getting it.
Potential friend of the pod, Colin. I don't know if he listens.
Who knows? I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think
in the time that he is able to have free from his cat and his domesticated life, he plays Call of Duty for like half an hour a week.
Yep. That sounds about right.
So are you thinking about getting married in Houston or Austin?
Austin, most likely.
Word.
Yeah. I think the only tough part is like people traveling down here, but if we were to get married up there, then all of Marla's family is traveling up there, and there's a lot of family for her. Her dad has 3 siblings, so it's like there's a lot of kids involved with that too, and it's like we're not going to restrict kids from the wedding or anything like that. So it's I think as far as people from the Northeast coming down here is just going to be.
So you guys are still
easier.
planning on a big wedding?
I mean, we're looking at like 160 people or so. It's pretty even both sides. Rory, you're on the bubble.
Great. You gotta think about that just because I've already talked to Koch about my plans to try and sleep with every single bridesmaid right down the line. No. Maybe? You said maybe? Let's get her a wine cooler.
Well, Marla listens to the podcast, so she may not like what I'm about to say, but I'm pretty sure all of her bridesmaids, most of them are going to be single. As far as I know of who they're going to be. And maybe
I'm not saying live on the podcast that I want you to try and sow dissent among relationships in all of the ladies on Marla's side that are coming. Because we all know I've burned all my bridges with any woman who might be single who's coming from your side. So that's all I got.
I don't think there's any single women coming from my side. Well, I guess my roommates. Who knows?
Exactly.
My old roommates, if they're going to be single or not, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Again, just so Discord. Just so Discord. Find out which one of them have proclivities for excessively pale gentlemen. Ooh, he's cute. He's been down in the sun, and he looks like a sexy lobster.
He looks like a ventriloquist dummy dressed casually. This is lovely.
Great. It's always wonderful to see what you guys think of me. So, yeah, no, just, watch out. Is he joking? I'm not.
But it should be. I mean, we're going to do it when the timing is correct. Obviously, we're not going to try to force anything and have anybody come down here. Like if we get a second wave and pushes things back even further, we're not going to. I'm not one to be like, yeah, fuck everything else, and we're just going to do it.
Well, forever's a long time. You can wait. It's
that was beautiful, Rory.
You've already that's not what I meant. I mean, you've already dedicated yourselves to one another. So what's
Jeff's
the difference
use
between
that in
a couple
his
extra
vows
months
now.
or
Forever is a long time.
Forever's a long time.
Just looks off into the distance. A long time.
I'm just going to play this podcast as my vows.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool. Oh, I wish I'd chosen my words much more carefully.
Settle in, everybody.
I'll just be standing there. All the bridesmaids will look at me, and I'll just sit there with wide eyes and nod my head. Mm-hmm.
That's me.
Mm-hmm. You all have a chance. All of you. All of you still have a chance. Perhaps at the same time, if you're cool with it. I don't.
Well.
We were talking about porn in the last episode. There's this no holds bar.
That was. You guys laid it all on the table.
I found something I'm into, Koch. There it is.
I was proud of you guys. Laying it all out there on the last podcast.
It's like I was saying before. I don't give a fuck anymore about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It's too. I don't.
Well, it's the end of the world.
I was barely employable before all the jobs dried up. What's going to happen now?
I'm apparently very unemployable, if you would believe my previous employer. I am not a team player, apparently.
Wow.
Which I disagree with based on my previous statement. I am pro-team player. Get at me, ladies.
Yes, I will say, Rory, if you're going to put this on your resume, yes, Rory is a team player. 100%. Any future bosses that Rory has, he's a hard worker, gets along really well with others. He really, you're not going to find anybody more socially aware, more spiritually aware. Really gets into.
You can make a pipe out of an apple. I mean,
yeah.
Just cuts to a quote from me. God is dead, everybody.
Yeah.
Rip the Band-Aid. Well, that's great. Thank you for lying for me, Geoff. That was so nice of you.
No problem.
Anytime. It's going to be... Yeah, I'm going to be at your wedding. Someone's going to be like, so I listened to the Skimbo Lounge. Oh, do you? Drink into my face. Well, good that you were paying attention. Isn't that wonderful? You didn't get it on my boutonniere.
All right,
Rory, I don't know.
I assume they'll be wearing a boutonniere.
Go ahead, Koch.
No, I was just going to say, I think this all depends, too, on when exactly you guys get married, because Rory and I are supposed to go on the second season of Love is Blind, where they're going to, start letting in some freaks. So.
And we've all heard about your proclivities. You're like, oh, she had to ride it on a skateboard. I'm so happy.
Are those...
It's like a dream come
true. Are those
true.
Spitfire bearings I hear?
I'm just going to show up to Jeff's
some
wedding
skateboard
with a
talk.
little person in a papoose on me and just be like, we're in love.
Yes.
I've never been happier
Yes.
that the producers were like, we did not think that this was going to work out so well. We were looking for drama, and it's not there. Why did we invite them to Cancun?
Rory, I'm so glad you watched that whole show.
I hate you. I absolutely fucking hate you for bringing that up as an idea. I watch really bad shows all the time, but reality television is particularly an area of entertainment that I loathe. I just... Ugh.
I knew you were going to like it.
It's fake television that doesn't have the balls to admit it.
I knew you were going to like it.
Oh, it drives me crazy. You're a monster. There better be a second season.
Oh,
I'm addicted
there
now.
is.
It's like heroin.
100% there will be a second season of that show.
Oh, they already announced it.
And now I will say,
coming. Oh, did they really?
I also found the show as ridiculous as the next person.
Oh, did you now?
The entertainment value when Giannina caught your paramour there, when
your belle of the balls,
she murdered that man in cold blood on camera. That was
it's the most savage thing.
I was getting a little bit out on that show at that point, but I was like, shit, if stuff like this is going to happen on this television program, I am
savagery.
I am 100% in.
I just be like, wow, you couldn't wait for the cameras to stop rolling for that one? That one couldn't have come in the middle of the night? You guys are having a little argument? Seems like they fight a lot.
Yeah.
I got the idea that she was doing it because it's a sex thing for her. You fight, then you angry bang it out.
100.
That's cool.
100% a sex thing for her.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Dude, you could tell that. Did you guys watch the reunion? Because I thought we were going to talk about it a little bit, and she's like, yeah, we're back together. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, so you basically informed him afterwards that it's a sex thing. And he was like, oh, okay. And then everything was okay after that. We fight, we bang it out, we go home. She just wants to yell. Don't you get that? She just wants to yell at someone, and if you're going to be her partner, it's going to be you. Wake up, buddy.
Until she says, God damn. And then he just, like the air going out of a balloon, just totally soft. Unbelievable. The guy, she keeps his spine next to his balls in her little locker at home.
He keeps his balls in a little pouch around his neck like Sir Davos. It's a Game of Thrones reference.
I think I was less satisfied with Game of Thrones than I was with Love is Blind.
I would
well, that's
agree to
that's
that.
everybody. I've started watching through Game of Thrones again, I will admit, to see where everything quite went wrong in certain things. And you know what I've noticed since I started watching back through it is just the heavy amount of hints that they give you at the obvious things. Like you go back to when Theon Greyjoy's being held by Ramsay Bolton, right? And you're sitting there going, you're sitting there doing the game about like, if you can figure out why I'm torturing you and all that, and you sit there and go, okay, but the scene before him was Roose Bolton, the flayed man banners behind them. They're talking about shit that relates directly to the next scene, and they do it every fucking step of the way. Like having seen the show again and now like really paying attention hard, it's like it's almost a little ham-fisted at times just how hard they allude to the next scene and how hard they foreshadow the things that are going to be happening afterwards. It's honestly a little disappointing in a sense. It's clever the first time through, but the rewatchability is just not there. And I mean, even irrespective of where it ruins itself in later seasons, it's kind of a bummer. And yet I persist. I keep watching.
But they do it when they do that sort of thing in the show where you go back and you realize like, oh shit, how did I not realize that?
How did I not
in
see
the other
that?
in the other 7 major things that are happening in this episode, especially at that point in the show? It's like, you're not going to like get every single little thing. Rewatches help with that, but in the books, like they're not so ham-fisted, because when you're
the books
when
are
you're
great.
writing, you can hold off on revealing things. Like you don't have to do it in a show where you might have to do it on camera with like a little wink, like, hey, this is coming up. Like in the books, you can just hit someone with that as like a reveal. You don't have to have all the necessarily the setup for it as much, so it's like that was those sort of things are the issue with the major issues they had with translating the book, as well as just this sheer amount of content. They had cut a lot of characters and stuff out, but it's like things like that.
Also, Sansa's not 14, hanging out with Tyrion Lannister naked and his penis is erect. That doesn't happen in the show.
Yes, they wisely aged the characters quite a bit.
I'm surprised they didn't have Peter Dinklage go full frontal. What a shock.
Do you think he's packing? I think he's packing.
You never know. You got to get there somehow. I see Hollywood as being a disgusting place after the whole Weinstein scandal happened. I think everybody's showing bone to get where they are.
Was that what it took for you?
Yes. That's what pulled the wool from my eyes. That's what lifted the veil. I was like, wait, you're telling me that dude doesn't crush puss? What's going on? What a shock.
So who do you think would have done well on Love is Blind from Game of Thrones?
I mean, like, the red woman, probably.
I guess
she could manipulate her way into everything.
I guess a better question, who would have traded up? Like, Mark basically
Peter Dinklage.
Mark on Love Is Blind was basically going to be trading up for whoever he happened to get with. You know,
Sure.
Not just because he's short. That was not a veiled short joke. I guess it just became one. But who?
It depends on what time during Game of Thrones we're talking about, because if it's pre-Theon Greyjoy getting his dick cut off or post-Theon Greyjoy getting his dick cut off, those are two different
True.
things. You see
Well, what
I'm saying?
about post Theon Greyjoy getting his dick cut off? Also post
Theon Greyjoy.
What about post Reek? Still Theon Greyjoy with his dick cut off, because late show Theon Greyjoy, different ball game than after he first got his
That's
dick
fair.
cut off with Ramsay Bolton.
Well, I feel like he's having a hard time anyways, because he's there and he like can't see the person on the other side, so he assumes the whole time he's being tricked. Like he's gonna leave the pod, and Ramsay's gonna be standing there like blowing that trumpet, like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were having a fun time. Let's cut your pinky off." And then like he's back into it, and they put him on the cross again. And he's like, "No."
I guess
so. I feel like he would have had a hard time trusting him.
And just gouges his eyes out.
Exactly. I feel like he couldn't trust anything that whole time.
How poorly would Eddard Stark have done?
Well, he'd have been dead at that point, so it'd just been like, what are you into?
First season, Eddard Stark.
Mark
season.
kind of was Eddard Stark, so I feel like if you put Eddard and Jessica
That's
together, he's getting his fucking head cut off.
That would have been. Do you think Jessica was comparable to Cersei?
Yeah, she gave her dog wine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
See, I'm drawing all sorts of parallels right now.
I wouldn't put it past her to fuck her brother and then murder people.
Barnett
Yeah.
is definitely Bronn.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Just whatever,
There's some deep parallels to Game of Thrones now we're drawing. Are we blowing your minds at home?
Yeah, this
I
is-
hope we
wow.
are. This is some good fucking pod.
The Hound could have finally ended up with somebody that loves him for him.
And then Jessica comes out. And she's like, I was a little disappointed at the Hound.
He didn't say anything about the scar.
he didn't say anything about the melted half of his face.
And have you seen his brother?
No fire.
His brother is so much better looking.
He's like huge. He's like the kind of person I'd normally be dating, and then he's out there like sitting there like murderous eyes, and she's like, "But are you happy? Are you like really happy?" And he's just, he's just super angry. And then he chops her in half with his great
Or he
sword.
just does the Oberyn squish where he just grabs the head and flat.
Jessica would definitely date a zombie if it was good looking enough. Like if the mountain was still good looking, like she'd be 100% about it.
We're talking pre-Manticore venom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so.
You know,
Just because of looks.
I just thought of the perfect parallel, though. Gigi and Damien are Daenerys and Jon Snow. Because she's the
Gross.
fire-breathing bitch, and she brings him to heel. He started off, I was like, this guy's not a terrible guy. And then the more you see him, he's just like, please don't yell at me. I had a hard day. I can't. My steak is too tough to cut. And she's like, would you just fuck me already?
See, I would say more than Jon Snow, because he would just go cry in a corner. Jorah would be like,
True.
"Milady, that's
true.
not respectful."
Except they never bang. She's just always like, "What do you want from me, sir?" And he's just like,
Jorah, do you notice how you always say that I'm the greatest queen you've ever known, but I never say that you're the best protector I've ever had?
tear. Khaleesi runs off crying.
I'm not wrong, though. That guy's totally fucking insufferable, right, Damien?
Oh,
Or is it just because I caught the scent of a lesser stag in my nostrils because I'm obsessed with Giannina?
There's a certain sense about it that I feel like he missed the signals, because again, I don't feel like we're all crazy in thinking that she wanted to fight and then make up. She wanted to yell and complain, and then she wanted to have it not be a big deal, and he sort of took it like, your words matter. Everything you say means something, and after you're done saying it, I'm going to take it as if you weren't just saying it to hurt my feelings, which is what it was, and I'm not going to let it go this whole fucking time, to the point where I walk away from you at the altar like a dumbass.
I would have just straight up killed myself on camera if I got told that on camera. And I knew that was going to be, in the second she said that, I'd be like, well, that's it. That's all she wrote. Just hang myself with a belt in the closet.
I thought he was going to get stabbed. I thought she was going to be like, well, I'm glad I kept this as part of the wedding gown. Second, she just pulls out the knife and just pulls off her heels, and it's a sharp stiletto, and she just tack, 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 puts 3 in his chest and walks off. Deal with that, you son of a bitch.
I mean, come
Remember
on.
when I told you you weren't the hottest guy I ever stabbed to death? Ah! She just sticks him. I wanted to see some blood. I keep going back to it. I cannot believe that there was no fighting. I want next season, if there's another season and one of you assholes forces me to watch it.
Well, who would have fought, though? Like, to the point of
Jessica
blood?
and Amber.
Oh,
Yeah, Jessica and Amber.
There would have been blood if
I
Amber
wanted to see-
had to tune Jessica up. Jessica
Yeah.
wasn't going to put up much of a fight. And
no.
Yeah.
No.
No, Amber was gonna beat her
Amber
ass.
would have
Maybe
taken
she's
her
gonna
head
get a good
off.
swing and hit her in the titty or something. And it's just really entertaining and fantastic. And let's all be honest, we wanted to see Jessica get a bludgeoning. We wanted to see it. And I wanted to see, who was it she was dating? Was it that Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to see Mark go to Barnett and be like, I'm not really comfortable with how you're making me gay. I've been talking to Jess. And have Barnett be like, bro, you need to realize she's just not that into you. Here's a book to read. It's called She's Just Not That Into You. And just walk the fuck away, dude. Sack up and get the fuck out
But he
of here.
couldn't, because think about how, like, he was a decent looking guy. Like, I don't want to poo poo on Mark too much, because honestly he seemed like one of the only sane ones in that whole thing. But he's also like 4'7", so you got to understand, it's like
4'7".
like, think about if he was
Like,
if he
hey,
was that good, if
he's
he
a
was
strong
that good looking
5'3"
and 6 feet tall, all of a sudden his dating pool is a lot bigger, and girls
Opens
like
up.
Jessica dime a dozen. At 4'7", it's a little shallower.
I love that's your metric. Yeah. Shallow indeed, considering who he matched
Yes.
up with. It's the kind of thing where she realized, again, you go back to the beginning, she wasn't going to get Barnett, so she's like, I got to cling to something to stay alive, baby. And then this dude comes out and she's like, target
Well,
acquired.
think about it. They bonded over, what was it, like beef sandwiches and the Cubs. Like,
My
that's a
dog's
great
name is Peyton Hester.
That's a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon. Maybe not the rest of my life.
It's like a great conversation to have with a drunk chick at the
Yeah.
bar. That's, and then you guys go, oh my God, I will never see you
Yeah,
again.
the-
Good talk. And then you think about what if could be. And then you sober up in the morning and go, oh, that would have been terrible.
Yeah, have a great romantic evening of dripping hot beef grease all over each other in downtown Chicago. But it's that's to base your life on that. My God, I love this girl. She likes like 5 things that I like. This is perfect.
They brought it up
we saw how it
again
turned
on the
out.
reunion show too. The fucking Italian beef thing came up. I'm just standing up, shouting at my TV. Enough with the Italian fucking beef.
I mean, it's
You
a good
shut up about it.
it's a good sandwich, but it's
It's crazy.
like I'd rather have BLT, to be honest with you.
You almost ruined your fucking life for this sandwich. What the fuck is
Right?
wrong with you? I know
This
you're
girl-
24.
This girl feeds wine to dogs.
Yeah, you knew the whole thing was gonna fail though when they're hanging out in the woods behind that white screen,
God.
and she's like making fun of him for not knowing what blue cheese tastes like. And to be fair, dude didn't know what blue cheese tastes like. I thought it was gonna be like, oh, that's Limburger or
No,
something, like that's.
Doesn't he
it's-
say something like, "Oh my
Limburg or
God,
whatever
this
it's called.
cheese is incredible. It's just really strong." She goes,
He's like, oh, it's so strong. No, you don't
It's
want to try
just-
that. You
it's
don't want to try that.
just blue
And then she
cheese.
eats it, and she's like, it's blue cheese, and he's like,
Never fucking heard of it.
"Poor sweet Mark." And then they go to his apartment where he lives with his other like
That
25-year-old buddy.
rough.
Yeah,
yep.
they're sitting there drinking Bud Lights on the couch. Like this woman's like she was in real estate or something where she was like a director level.
She's high power six
Yeah,
figures.
director
Yeah,
level.
She's a 6-figure woman.
She goes to this guy's couch with a sectional from Big Lots, drinking aluminum Bud Lights.
Yeah. No, he was fucked. You could tell at a certain point she's making a 6-figure salary and he does not, and that is clearly a
Yeah.
factor. And it's like, I wish it was like remember that blind date show that used to be on like VH1, whatever it was.
I think it was literally
they do the little
called
thing in the corner,
Blind
like,
Date.
yeah, countdown to when something goes bad. Boop, 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 and then it's like,
My mom's coming over again. You know my mom. Have I talked about my mom? I love my mom. Do you know how much I love my mom? You want to meet my mom? My mom.
Wait,
my
is
mom.
that the
Exactly.
one where it's like 3 different people? Like it's a guy and then it's like 3 girls. Like he's never met any of them. And then they go on a date, like all 3 of them, and then it's like something goes wrong and he can like tell them to leave.
Isn't that
No.
a limit date or?
yeah, that was on MTV. I'm talking about the one that was like the really shitty blind date that happened. I don't know what it's called. It was
hosted
on
by
it was
Roger
on VH1.
Lodge.
It was really bad.
what a
and again, the
what an
whole
all-time
date,
scumbag.
they're just adding those little like things into like the corner of the screen that would like count down to awkward moments, and they would literally say like awkward moment in 5,
Okay.
4, 3, and then someone would say something, and then they'd put in a long fucking pause.
And they put the thought
as
bubbles
everybody's
on
like,
you whenever they were
Yeah.
like just like an awkward silence. They'd edit those in.
It was like
Or
it was
I
someone,
like
want to get the fuck
puts
out of here.
A breadstick down their throat, and it's like a little Freud graphic. It's like, this says she's horny. And we're like, thanks, TV.
it's like it was like pop-up video but for dating.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. I kind of wanted to see more of that in Love Is Blind. It made me way more entertained. The funny man came on in the corner. Just because I have the attention span of a 4-year-old.
Well, Rory, let me let you in on a little secret where there is a funny man between scenes. A little show called Love Island.
Oh, God. Is this the one where it's all of the... Is this the other one that's on Netflix?
It's on.
You're thinking of Too Hot to Handle, Rory.
Yes, it's on
I am.
Hulu.
Okay.
And there's Love Island UK and there's Love Island Australia. And I have not watched much of either, but from what I've seen of Love Island UK, these people are the shallowest people that I've ever encountered in reality
Is
television.
it just a bunch of shitty Cockney accents? Because that's what I want it to be.
Yes, there's a lot of bad
Just a-
accents. And you know how I feel about...
I noticed when he had his abs out and I wanted to fuck
Yeah,
him.
you know how I feel about the British. And so it's a little bit of a struggle watching this show sometimes. But the entertainment value when these people do exactly... It's a bunch of Barnetts and Ambers, basically. But they're British.
So it's a bunch of good-looking, well-off guys getting hit on by women with massive credit card debt.
I think the women are also good looking and well off, but they're like British scale of good looking. So like, if you're
it's on a curve.
Fuck
yeah,
that
if
teeth.
you're in the UK, they're good looking, but you like put them anywhere else, and it's like, okay, well, what's that cave troll doing here?
The sexiest woman from Wales.
Yeah,
Literally,
Oi, oi.
the sexiest
Yeah.
woman. Like, that's an American 7. Good for her. Oh, that's depressing. I don't want anything to do with dating shows anymore. I don't. I can't fucking handle it. I think that and actually it might segue well into our next point. See, this is a non-ham-fisted segue, Koch. Pay
I don't
attention.
even know what you're doing right now.
I think we're a little bit too obsessed with, objectively attractive people who have not a ton of other things to, like, offer. You know what I mean? We're all just kind of obsessed. Like, I haven't watched Too Hot to Handle yet, but I've got a feeling that most of those people fucking suck.
You said yet.
Like, they absolutely fucking suck. No, I'm not going
he
to watch it.
did say yes.
You
That was
said
your
yes.
unconscious speaking, Rory.
Because there's always the potential for one of you guys to force me to fucking do it. We're going to review that show in 3 weeks. And I go, no, I don't want to. And you go, we're doing it. And I go, no. And you'll go, okay. Because I have to. Because, like, let me put it this way. We've been waiting for our audience to give us topics about random things, and they never fucking do, which is okay. But if one of them were to come out of the woodwork and go, I want you guys to review that show, and they write us the email and they lay out a good case for it, then we would fucking have to do it. Because when the audience requests something from us, we fucking do it. We are slaves to the audience. So there's always the chance that one of these days, and god damn it, I might have screwed myself by
Yeah, I
bringing
don't
this
know
up,
why you're
because maybe
saying
one of them is going
any
to
of
come out and
this.
say it. But if they were to, I would.
Listeners, did you hear that? Whatever
you, don't you
whatever
do it.
your worst, most
We
hated
want better
television
topics.
show
Please,
is.
we've already reviewed Love is Blind.
Rory, I don't know if you realize this, but your misery is a hot topic.
Great. It's the only thing that's hot about me.
I told you last episode, there's no entertainment value in us getting along and having good lives. The worse things get for us, the better the show's going to be.
Well, I don't know how much worse it's going to get for me, so I guess this must be the most entertaining time of my life. That's fantastic.
I hope
Thanks.
everything combines. So it's at Geoff's wedding. It's like Clue. Geoff's wedding, one of the bridesmaids is going to stab you just like you're on Cheaters.
You're going to get hit with a... I was on the way to the wedding, and I somehow got messed up in a grease fire.
I drove through a Whataburger and a bunch of people.
Ooh. I can't wait for your wedding because I can't wait for the Whataburger.
Oh,
It's going to be so
I can't wait for them to mess your order up.
They usually do because I'm picky and I get weird shit. Just please don't put that thing that you guys always put on there. I just don't want the sauce. Can I just get ketchup? Whatever, douche.
You know what's great is they have their online app now, and you can just order. So you just like you put it in. Like you don't have to rely on them hearing what you're saying and then hitting the button. You just
You're right, which was a big problem back in the
see.
day.
I would just order the straight up like just the sweet and spicy bacon burger. I didn't ask them to change anything. I was like, you just pop that baby out there for me, and we'll be golden.
Well, mine weren't ever that difficult. I'd be like, no mustard, please, or no mayo, or something. Whatever's on the
Whataburger is built on mustard, Rory. I don't know what.
Yeah, see, I just don't want fucking mustard on my burgers. And so they'd be like, what? What'd you say? Boop. They'd press the button, and the guy in the back would be like, that can't be right. Squirt, squirt, squirt. I'd get all the way home and find out my burger's drenched in the shit I hate.
This is a mustard establishment. Who the fuck is this lunatic? Order just ketchup.
What's next? He's going to ask us to take the God Bless America stickers out the window? I don't think
Next
so.
thing you know, he's going to ask us not to sneeze on the burgers.
Hey, we
Piece
can't
of
take
shit.
those out of the windows. They balance out the 100% Angus beef stickers we have right next to them.
Those are load-bearing God Bless America stickers.
But yes, Whataburger, and specifically the sweet and spicy bacon burger, Koch, just as good as you remember. We got it last week, I think, and whew, buddy, it was good. Buddy, it was good.
I miss those burgers. I miss the absolute, again, I didn't know that Fuddruckers was a real thing, until I moved to Austin, Texas. I thought it was just a fake chain that they used in movies and in television.
It's like
That
555.
shit's real.
Right, Rory, I don't think we had been to one until San Antonio.
Yeah,
when
no, we
Koch
hadn't.
and Tanner and Mitch went to see the pre-show or whatever, and we went and housed. I don't remember how many beers we got through at Fuddruckers.
Several.
I think we did 2 of those 6 buckets of 6 or something like that. I mean, we were.
We did quite. We had a
Yeah.
time because I didn't go to. You guys went for what was it, WrestleMania or which one was
that
it?
was
The Royal
SummerSlam?
Rumble.
Yeah.
Royal Rumble. I was so close. That was gonna be my third guess.
I mean,
and
there's only
I didn't
only
go to
4
that.
guesses you can do. So.
I went to San Antonio to go to PAX, which is a video game convention because I'm so cool. And you guys went to go to Royal Rumble. So in the beginning of the day, I went to PAX and got my nerd on and got all of that out of my system. And then I met up with you guys later. We went and got some food. You and me got too drunk. And then you headed off for that. And then I wandered the city for a couple hours.
Well, we went. So they
And,
went to the pre-show. You and I went and got hammered, and then we went back to the hotel room at
Yes.
the
Oh.
company that I worked for, and we made pigsties out of these rooms. I mean, these rooms were disgusting by the time we left, and we drank like a majority of that bottle of whiskey that we had in that room too.
Oh God, it's hard to
Yeah.
remember. To be honest, at a
Because we had
certain
that
point.
balcony, so you and I went out there with glasses of whiskey, just looking over the pool, just drinking straight
Isn't
whiskey.
it funny to sit and dream? We said, just said, it's good to have land.
And then I went and drank, I think, just about as much as we had from then on at the wrestling event.
I believe I walked around a little bit and then went back and took a good nap because what ended up happening to me.
And then we came back and woke you up.
Yeah. Yes, that is right. I did fall asleep and you guys did wake me up. I sort of remember that now.
I think it was mostly Mitch's fault.
What fun. It was 100% Mitch's fault. It was 100% Mitch's fault. But we don't need to get into that.
Maybe he'll be listening
good
if he
times.
can turn off the Joe Rogan and Adam Carolla for.
Mitch doesn't listen. What the deal about the world is, man. That's my Adam Carolla. If I sounded more like Adam Carolla, maybe he would listen.
Now you gotta go pay $16 for this mangria that I'm putting out. Now this stuff is really shitty, but you're gonna support the podcast in my next car.
All proceeds go to re-educating black people about how to behave in polite society.
Jesus Christ.
That's not out of line with anything he's said before. Any given podcast you
not
tune
us,
into,
that's-
skip to like at least 16 minutes in, he'll be like, the breakdown of the black family because they don't have fathers, you see. So this is the problem with society.
Why don't they
So
just?
I'm not
Shows
the
how much
asshole.
little Adam Carolla I've
We'll
listened
give
to.
them more resources when they prove they've earned them.
Oh my God. This is why I haven't listened to a lot of Adam Carolla, I guess. Jesus Christ.
Mitch is just sitting listening to this episode. You fucking guys.
No.
Seething.
That's not the only thing he does.
He's so
Hey,
bad.
classic cars. This guy
Mitch
has
is-
GT something or other. I don't know cars.
Mitch is just home rubbing mangria on his nipples, listening to Adam Carolla right now.
We're calling him out
Yeah.
hard this podcast.
Yep.
Well, you know what's actually a good segue, because you wanted to talk a little bit about another podcast that was out there, Koch, a little bit.
We can. I don't know. I guess it's gonna depend on how much.
We got a little bit of
mileage
time left.
Jeff can get out of it.
Oh,
how much he's followed it.
I've got another hour of time I'm available for. And what podcast are you speaking of?
Yeah.
Call her daddy.
Oh, so yeah, we can get into this.
Barstool.
You go ahead, Koch.
No, go for it. You're loaded. You're loaded for bear.
So I am a longtime stoolie. That's what folks are called that listen to Barstool Sports and pay attention to the content and everything. There's a
douche canoe, if you will.
sure, yeah,
A canoelie.
yeah. I think that's what they say on 4chan, isn't it, Rory? Is that yeah?
Fuck you. Well done. Good job.
Thank you.
Good turnaround.
And so I pay attention to kind of like what I consider to be a nucleus of Barstool Sports personalities. So that's your Big Cat, PFT commenter, KFC, Feidelberg, the guys that have been the mainstays for years and years. And then there's some like the golf podcasts they do that I will listen to just because obviously it's something I'm into. But, those are the people that I pay attention to Barstool for. And obviously Dave Portnoy, Presidente. So it's like I'm reading the blogs, listening to podcasts that they put out and stuff. Never really listen to Call Her Daddy at all. Obviously Barstool's blowing up. Chicks in the Office is a big one. They got a lot of podcasts that are really popular right now. You can bleep out any of those, no free ads if you want. But
No.
it's
We don't give a fuck. You
all
heard
of
us
those,
earlier.
all
We
of
don't
those
give a
ones
fuck.
that I'll listen to like kind of tangentially if somebody else that I pay attention to is on there. I'll listen to that particular episode of that podcast. If they're getting interviewed. But I never listen to Call Her Daddy. Like I've listened to maybe an episode total worth of Call Her Daddy, just if I'm looking for a specific interview that I want to hear from somebody. They seem like the absolute worst people that you can imagine.
Really?
It's just
So can you run it down for us a little bit? Because like
Yes.
I didn't know about Call Her Daddy until Koch had mentioned it, and I heard that there was a little bit of drama going
Yes.
on with it now. So I looked into it a little bit, but like, what do you like? What's
so.
the
Koch,
deal?
do you listen to the podcast? Do you listen to Call Her Daddy?
To call her daddy?
Yeah.
No, I didn't until this all happened. I went and
Okay.
listened to one episode and went, well, that's enough for me.
Yeah. It is pretty raunchy. Like pretty. I mean, there's an audience for it, obviously, because what's happened was they blew up. I mean, to become really one of the most successful, like probably non-sports podcasts there are. Because sports podcasts for some reason just are the be-all end-all for podcasts. A lot of times.
But what is it? What is it?
So
who,
it's
who is it, and
it's
what
two
do they
girls,
do?
Alexandra Cooper and Sophia Franklin.
Franklin.
Yes. So they
And
are.
Alexandra Cooper was Noah Syndergaard's girlfriend for a while.
He was a pitcher for the New York Mets. So
I see.
he's
Okay.
the one they call Thor because he's huge, blonde, throws like 105 miles an hour. I mean, like big. Your typical.
He's everything you'll never be, Rory.
Why lob factual
just
statements like
just
they're
a
insults?
Your typical like stud athlete kind of guy. So she is a vapid, shallow hole of a human being. So
Okay.
dating an athlete was all she cared about. And I don't know anything about Noah Syndergaard. He's a Met, so he's probably a piece of shit. But Sophia Franklin, same deal. Like they're just good-looking girls that happen to fall ass backwards into social status. So they start having this podcast talking about.
I assume they're very attractive.
They're okay. You can look it up, judge that for yourself. They have this podcast.
I get it. You're getting married. You can't say.
they're
fair.
getting no.
Smart. This guy's smart.
I could say whatever. The things she says about Michael Fassbender, I have free reign to say whatever I want about Anna Kendrick. Anna Kendrick, if you're listening,
she knows there's a movie where he hangs
Anna
dong,
Kendrick
right?
would listen.
What's that?
Marlon knows there's a movie where Fassbender hangs dong, right?
I'm sure she's aware. Yes.
Well, she does now.
She hates what's the girl's name? Alicia Vikander, that he's married to, because he's married to her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's
see.
the jealousy. You know, you were talking about, seeing a lesser stallion or whatever about about Damien. Same deal with her. So these two girls, they start this podcast and they talk about their sexual exploits, all this stuff, and it's graphic. I mean, there's a term for a maneuver they do called the Gluck Gluck 9000, which you can look it up. It's a maneuver, but that's the kind of thing that's about as tame as they get on the podcast.
Sounds like a blowjob.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I'll say it. Sounds like a blowjob
Yes.
move.
Very good, Rory.
With a power.
Hooray! I win. What do I win?
Power level of 9,000. Impossible. But it's so they talk about things like that. It blows up. Very, very popular with the college age to mid 20s to probably even early 30s female demographic, and statistically probably some of the men too. But they talk about this stuff and they blow up, like absolutely blow up. This podcast gets like hundreds of thousands of downloads every episode, like lots, like makes tons of ad revenue, lots of money. So Sophia Franklin, who's really more of the sidekick of the show, like Alex Cooper is really kind of the name of the show, like really kind of the driving force behind it. Sophia Franklin starts dating this guy that's an exec at HBO HBO has it out for Barstool, has for years. They ran one of their Real Sports documentaries about Barstool and absolutely lambasted them. I mean, Barstool's got its warts. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to defend Barstool Sports by any means, but they have it out for Barstool. So this guy is dating a Barstool personality. Now, these girls have been notorious for not ever coming into the Barstool office, like not interacting with any of the other talent they have, just like basically doing their thing very successfully and not fucking with anybody else. So they all of a sudden start saying, well, our contract doesn't seem like it's fair, because they're getting paid $75,000 a year plus a bonus per episode. Now, that contract was signed before they started getting super popular, so it's like $75,000 to do a once a week podcast. You'd take that running away. I'd take that running away.
Well,
we'd all take that
sure.
running away.
Yeah.
Unless you're making, unless you're a podcast we've heard of that you're making real money on, obviously you take that deal and sign that contract. So obviously they're blowing up. They know there's a ton of ad revenue. They know how much money this thing is bringing in. So they say, well, we're not going to keep doing more podcasts until we renegotiate our contract. So Dave Portnoy, who is the founder of Barstool, is now still the owner of it, but really has a minority stake in it, I think, because they sold to Penn Gaming, like we were talking about before the pod. But he still runs Barstool. He's still the voice, the face of Barstool. He says, okay, well, I think that's bullshit. You signed the contract. You should honor the contract. But he did go in to negotiate with them. He said, okay, I understand this is not a regular situation. Like, there's no way anybody saw this being this successful. We'd like to keep you on. So, yes, let's negotiate. Let's figure out a new contract, blah, blah, blah. So, Call Her Daddy, Alex and Sophia come to him and say, actually, we want to void the contract. We want the IP. And we want you to pay us as freelancers $1 million each per year. Now, the revenues that this show is bringing in, like, $1 million is not totally outrageous for getting paid for this.
I actually looked it up because we had talked about this before, and so just for some numbers for everybody, for a media empire like Barstool Sports, they're pulling in $100 million annually, and 35% of Barstool's money is being driven by its podcasts. So at $75,000 a year, I would say that they are fairly, I mean, kind of what you're saying, they are fairly
underpaid. Like for what they're bringing
underpaid, yeah. It is pretty legitimate for them to renegotiate their contracts. Having said that, and not to jump jump what you were probably about to say, he offered them $500,000 a year in the contract renegotiation, but also happens to have admitted, Portnoy himself admitted that when they were doing their show, he was netting $100,000 an episode, just to give some people some context. Keep it going.
So huge moneymaker for this show. Obviously not something that they thought was going to happen. So Dave Portnoy, again, say a lot of warts on that guy. Say whatever you want about him. Not here to defend him. But generally in his business dealings, always very honest. Like, him being so honest is what has gotten him in trouble in a lot of things, with a lot of things he's said. But as far as how he negotiates and how he takes care of the people that work for Barstool, like, there's a reason that people don't tend to leave Barstool when they become personalities, is because there's no trading up from there. Like, they're making a lot of money working for them. You know, he negotiates letting them have a cut of ad deals, you know, whatever merch they sell, you know, that kind of thing. Like, they make the money for how hard they work. Like, he makes more than they do because obviously it's his business, but he does take care of them better than a lot of media companies do, especially the ones you hear about laying people off. Like, I don't think they really laid anybody off through this whole thing. So he goes to the table, offers them the $500,000 per year that you were talking about. That kicks it lets them end their contract 6 months early of the one they signed, so that they can then get, I think they were going to give them 75% of the IP or something like that, of the intellectual property. And that is a screaming deal. But the boyfriend of Sophia Franklin seems like he was trying to push them towards Wondery, which is another podcast conglomerate. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but they have they don't have any podcasts I've heard of, but apparently a lot of listens, a lot of downloads, like pretty popular. So they apparently had a contract already in place with Wondery, but they were obviously still under contract with Barstool, so they had to try to break that contract. So they tried to be...
So this was never really about the money, is what you're saying.
No, they tried to break the contract, so their ridiculous demands were like to try to get Dave to say fuck it and just tear up the contract so that they could go to this other place, because that HBO exec boyfriend has it out for Barstool and was also, I think, pitching a Call Her Daddy TV show, probably similar to like Desus and Mero on Showtime. Like, probably had that similar kind of like talk show thought to them. Probably would have been popular enough to do it, but HBO is never going to touch anything Barstool related. So that guy screwed himself.
Well, from the sounds of it, it sounds like it's a particularly raunchy idea, and I feel like HBO is kind of on the way to potentially having that kind of content, but we're not there yet.
It is raunchy. Like, there's no...
I mean, I've never listened to it
is.
before,
I mean,
you know, from what you guys just said.
Well, I can give you an excerpt from what they were talking about in one of the episodes, or the episode I listened to.
Sure.
Sophia was talking about how she was hooking up with a guy, and he went down on her, and he took her vibrator and put it just above her clitoris, and she said it was the best orgasm of her life. And then this guy explained to her, oh, well, you see, what was happening was it wasn't actually resting on your clit. I was making my tongue vibrate so that when I was licking your clit, you were getting the vibrations from my tongue. So that's like one of the tamer things I talk about.
Honestly, I was going to say I've heard much, much worse.
Look, I'm all for sex positivity. I feel like I don't have any problem with their content. Like, I don't give a shit what it is they're talking about.
If anybody knows Rory, they know he's all about sex positivity.
I don't give a fuck. Do what you want to me. So,
sex advice from Rory. I don't know, just lay there.
I don't know, just do it. If you feel like doing something, you know, just do it. Make sure she doesn't get mad at you. I got no problem with that. So, you know, but it doesn't sound like any of the issue has anything to do with the content. No. It sounds like it's more an issue of money at this point, which, you know, being the kind of people who have been doing a podcast for free for shits and giggles, if somebody were to offer us, like you were saying before, $75,000, that's outrageous. And then to have somebody offer you $500,000, I'm conflicted, because if they're making $100,000 an episode doing a podcast a week, that means they're making a generated revenue for Barstool at $5.2 million. Now, if Barstool is pulling in $100 million annually,
and you're pulling in like 5% of that, I mean, that's...
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. It makes it sound like this podcast was sort of their gem. And so I understand why they don't want to lose it, but at the same time, you know, I kind of go back and forth about whether or not $500,000 is enough or isn't. But at 75% of the intellectual property, like you were saying,
Yeah.
That sounds like a
And they
sweetheart
have
deal. And not on top of
an
that,
alcohol line that's coming out. They were going to give them the full cut of the alcohol money, like the full cut of the merch.
That's massive.
Like, we're talking probably tens of millions of dollars a year that these girls were going to make outside of that $500,000 salary.
And that is nothing to say about their social media presence that has been boosted by the Barstool Nation, in the sense that, you know, if you're sitting there with millions of followers on a site like Instagram, your posts, whether people realize it or not, a popular post, a really popular one, will generate you, the poster, somewhere in the tune of $10,000 or more just for a single post. So you got to assume that as the year goes on, they're making that money off of their social media accounts, which is not something that can be touched by Barstool. It's a pure profit thing. So I'm kind of like, I'm not sure how to feel about this, whether or not they're being super greedy. It sounds like they're being super greedy. It also sounds like Barstool's being kind of greedy. But before having not heard what you kind of brought to the story, it almost sounds like Barstool is kind of giving them a sweetheart deal. It is a business at the end of the day. They are a media empire, which means that they're focused on expansion. And so for them to give someone that is one of their flagship podcasts 75% of the intellectual property is a big fucking deal. So it sounds like that's a lot more than that, to be honest.
So they had, tried to give them that deal, which is like, why would you pass that up? Because it's basically like, you're getting paid to do nothing but this podcast, nothing but promote the alcohol, which, can you imagine how much, if
you just do it at the end of the
Caller
podcast,
Daddy vodka would sell to 25-year-old women that listen to this show? I mean,
it'd be at every college across the fucking country.
Ungodly amounts of money would have been made from this. And
I do have a question, though. Is it $500,000 and then 75%? Is Barstool giving them $500,000
that's their
a year
salary.
and then giving
that's
them 75% of the IP?
75% of the IP is separate. Yeah.
Separate. Yeah, okay. I don't understand that then. That sounds selfish as fuck.
Because they thought they were going to have...
It does.
So the problem is they were negotiating together. That deal gets offered. Alex Cooper is like, well, actually, that sounds pretty good, and goes to Sophia and says, we got to take that deal. And she had already talked to Dave Portnoy and was like, yeah, that sounds great. Let me just talk to Sophia. Like, yeah, we'll do that. And Sophia was like, no, I want more money, because I think they were...
So this is already decided. This all happened.
Yeah. So yeah, they're done. So now, now
it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts, Koch. It hurts my body.
And Dave Portnoy went on, because obviously they still own the IP, released a podcast on the Call Her Daddy podcast. That's just a half hour of him saying, this is what happened. They fucked themselves.
Oh,
so
savage.
Now all of the Barstool personalities are going to do podcasts on the Call Her Daddy thing that they don't really want to put on their own. It's just going to be a free page.
It's a free,
and they've started advertising for people to fill in. They're eventually going to want to keep Call Her Daddy going, but probably get different hosts. There's super famous porn stars that want to do it. So it's these girls went from
fucked
a cash cow, didn't even have the bag yet. They had only been paid the $75,000 per year so far. They didn't have the $500,000 or anything other than that. They just sent all that up in smoke. And Dave Portnoy's people didn't really, he's they didn't really care about Alex and Sophia. It's there's no other podcast with women that has that content. So he's we just got to get other...
caters to the female side of sexuality.
We just have to get other people to fill that in. They had 1,500 applications overnight when Dave Portnoy said, we need new Call Her Daddy hosts. 1,500. And you're telling me out of that 1,500, you're not going to find two that are more talented than the original they had? I mean... Right. They fucked themselves.
Dude, that's incredible. That's incredible. I like I said, I looked into it very shortly. And honestly, when we had started this discussion, I had thought that what had happened was Barstool was sort of being here, we're going to give you $500K. We're going to make another $4.2 million off of your backs. Fucking deal with it. That's the best deal you're going to get anywhere. And I was like, no, it's really not. If you're making that kind of money, you can bring it to another place and they'll give you the lion's share of that and they'll make the rest off of the other side. And that's not the case at all. I cannot believe that for working once a week, 52 episodes a year,
Yeah.
that you would turn that down. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I don't care what the content is anymore. It doesn't matter. You're a dumbass to not take that fucking deal.
Yep.
I'll take that deal. Barstool Sports, give us a deal for our podcast. We've got tens of listeners. Don't you want those listeners? Oh, my body hurts.
I mean, they are constantly expanding, so you guys should just keep sending in clips of the podcast, because
We'll one day just get a cease and desist. Stop sending us this shit.
Please, we don't
Bro.
know who this is for.
well, no, I mean, they did start out, like, obviously it's Barstool Sports, so, like, they start out, like, Pardon My Take is one of the most popular podcasts on the planet. I think it's only second to, like, Joe Rogan or something. I mean, it's, like, super duper popular.
Good old Joe.
But they've totally branched out into just entertainment. Like, Caller Daddy does, like, a ton of Bachelor content, like a lot of just reality show content, celebrity content. Like, they've branched out completely. And that show is, like, one of the most popular ones in that age demographic as well. Like, the same as Caller Daddy was.
That's incredible.
They have Barstool, like, Caller Daddy was not even their most successful podcast. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, they have so many hits that they've done with podcasts. Like, you should just send it in, because, like, if they promote it,
Get on it, Koch. I'm too lazy.
just, like, email it and be like, here's a sample of the podcast. Like, see if you can get paid for it,
Like, who is this for? Mental patients? I don't understand.
Well,
You get it.
Who the fuck is Caller Daddy for?
Simps and chicks who wish they could live that lifestyle.
Yeah.
There you go. So we're catering to all the people who want to have a mental disorder, I think.
Yeah, it's like the schizophrenia podcast, basically.
What's it like to see ghosts?
I don't feel so alone when I listen to the Skimbo Lounge, because then I can pretend at least that the voices are coming from the podcast. But
This is what we're
they're
gonna do.
far
We're
more
gonna
sinister
start-
than anything that I come up with on my own. So I don't know. It seems like a shitty trade-off. Thanks, Skimbo Lounge. 5 stars.
We'll just start catering to the Skimbo Lounge, the podcast for the lost. Are you confused by the way the world is going? So are we. Feel a little less crazy when you hear us talk about it. Today I fought a rat for a bagel. Okay, well, at least my life's not that guy's life. Makes you feel a little less crazy. The Skimbo Lounge, one listen at a time.
Well, what did you think about that whole thing, Koch? Because I know you may not do Barstool stuff as much as I do, but I know you've been, paid attention to them over the years.
I'm in and out on Barstool a lot of the time. I go back and forth. I like whenever there's like a big development where like they got bought out by Penn Gaming or when they moved to New York, all that stuff. That kind of renews my interest, and I'll jump back in and see where it's going. But then like I'll read it for a couple days. It'll be a bunch of blogs like, "You won't believe what this woman did at the supermarket with a cantaloupe and $20," and I'm like, I can guess. And it's just like,
See, the way I avoid
shit.
Yeah, the way I avoid that is I just follow the people that I care about, like what they write. I just follow them on Twitter because they just tweet out the stories that they put. Like, I never go on to the app for the blog ever. It's like I'll go on Spotify and listen to the podcast, and then the only way I get to the Barstool Sports site nowadays is if I click on a link from like Facebook or Twitter. It's just not a site that I'm frequenting all the time because it just doesn't have it's just all a lot of writers and stuff that I just don't care about. It's a lot of the stuff like you said, Koch, like, oh, Florida man does this, and it's just like everything you see
hot dog walks with Liz Gonzalez or wine walks or whatever the hell she's doing. It's just like, who is this for? That's the
Hot
question
dog
I
walks.
ask about everything. Who is this for?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And like the only podcast I listen to these days, and here's a ringing endorsement for y'all, is the Tim Dillon Show.
Oh, I follow
I'm a big fan
him
of.
on Twitter. He's the one. Was he the one that got nixed from SNL because of his old
No, that's
episodes?
Shane Gillis.
Okay.
No, not Tim Dillon.
Same crew. Same crew though.
Okay.
Not like, I mean, Tim Dillon is really good friends with Whitney Cummings.
Okay.
He's great, but he's never gonna have like a true mainstream career because all of his stuff is just the most like, everything he does is a satire of like blackpilling.
Oh, no.
Like it's all just conspiracy and rants, and it's dark and it's sarcastic, and
It
it's
takes a lot of hits at celebrities too, which is why he'll never be accepted by
Yeah.
that crowd because he's sitting there openly mocking them, and that is sort of a
Yeah.
no-no.
Well, he hits
sometimes.
both sides. Like the last episode I was listening
Yeah.
to was an older one. And the last 20 minutes of him were just him like going in on people who put politics as their identity. He just starts like ripping into Beto O'Rourke. He rips into Doja Cat. Like he just doesn't give a fuck.
Not your precious Doja Cat.
Oh my god.
Not your girlfriend.
She's taking enough fire from Lana Del Rey nowadays.
Whoa, what the fuck was up with that?
Did you see the post that she did?
Yeah.
Oh man,
I sure didn't.
So
Go on.
maybe so Rory, you can probably look at this, and then I don't know if you can like splice in reading it out loud for the viewers at home, or they can just go check.
I'm not
they
gonna
can go
do
just
that.
check themselves.
Yeah.
But
Go check
she
your bullshit if
basically-
you want
She
to,
basically
viewers.
wrote this Instagram post. I think it was Instagram. I saw it on Twitter, but I think she did it on Instagram originally. And basically called out, I think it was Megan Thee Stallion, Doja Cat, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, like all
Beyonce.
these
assume for
Beyonce,
what?
like all these black women that have songs like either on top of the charts right now or have been recently, you know, just very, very successful
Yeah.
artists. And she basically was lamenting that she gets called out for her songs, like because she's like, I play a role as a submissive in some of my relationships, you know, and I wrote about that, and people told me that I'm glorifying abuse. And it's like, and I was like, I don't remember any of that. Like, I'm on Twitter, in music Twitter all the time. I don't remember seeing any sort of backlash. What I remember seeing is you on like the best album of the year list last year, and your songs and in the top 10 every time they come out. So from what it looked like to me was you're just mad that these black girls talking about partying and having a good time, and you know, generally just, I think rap music in general might be what she's upset about, you know, that they're on top of the charts and they don't get the blowback that she did, you know.
Well, and given the people you just named too, there's a certain sexuality to all of them as well, and maybe that's what she's pissed off. Maybe is she insinuating that like that's what they're trying to sell rather than their content, you know? Because I feel like a lot of people bring up Nicki Minaj and people like Cardi B in that sense that it's just as much about their presentation as it is about their content.
It could be. I mean, I don't know. She didn't say that in the
I don't
thing.
know. I'm just trying to
Yeah,
play
I mean,
devil's advocate to it. I don't, you know, I don't
don't think
totally
you're even
not aware.
I don't
of
think
any
you're
of
even
this.
playing devil's advocate. I think you and I are going to firmly be on the same side of things on this. But it's like, you know, she clearly was just, without saying it out loud, like, why are all these black women having success and no blowback, and I had success and some perceived blowback, when I don't really remember seeing much blowback. I do remember seeing a lot of blowback for a lot of female artists, you know, like Cardi B and Beyonce and people like that from the Fox News crowd.
I remember a lot of criticism for Cardi B.
Yeah,
in
from the
particular,
Fox News
and Nicki
crowd
Minaj.
that, you know, they're like, oh, well, they don't respect themselves, and how are we can't let our kids listen to this kind of music. It's like, well, you know, that same, like, all those Republicans kids probably were listening to Lana Del Rey. You know, it's like you have your audiences, and for you to just like come out and say that, and I don't think she named one white artist in that, or anybody except for black artists. And it's just like,
It's not a good look.
Like you're trying to speak in codes, but you're making that code really easy to crack.
And not in
Yeah.
a good way either.
Yeah.
Kids, we call that dog whistling. Do you know how it works?
And I will say this is a pro Doja Cat household.
Nice.
Yeah.
Welcome to the revolution.
Yeah. Yeah, Marla does listen to a lot of Doja Cat. And then so
I noticed we both a special moment in our friendship. We both shared Doja Cat's "Juicy" on the same day.
Ooh.
That's when I was like, "She's gonna be all right. She's marrying my friend. She's gonna take good care of him."
That was the day he officially approved. In case you were
That's when I
looking for
knew.
it, there it was.
That was the same day I accepted Christ into my heart, and the same day that I knew that Marla and I were gonna be friends.
I think the first thing I'd ever seen of Doja Cat was that cow video. She's like, bitch,
Moo. Oh, yeah.
Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow. I'm like, what the fuck? What
I
the
account
fuck
for
is
50
this?
of the 54 million views. So
That's all?
It's got that shit playing on loop.
it's stupid and catchy, and it did everything it was supposed to do.
Yeah. But yeah, how someone like Lana Del Rey, who just sounds sad in every single
She
thing
sounds
that
like a
she does.
fucking heroin addict,
Yeah.
like every time.
I had a girlfriend who was obsessed with Lana Del Rey, and I could not.
Wait a second.
Bring it.
Rory, you dated
Yeah.
a girl that was into Lana Del Rey?
I did.
Wow.
And she always played those songs, and they were always so mopey and depressed. And for me, being, this ball of anxious depression, I was like, that's a little sad. It's a bit much, isn't it? And she was like, I just don't think you understand the music. And I was just like, no, I understand it all too well. It's fine. It's good. But when you look at the content of she's singing a song about someone who went off to war that she was in love with who died. Oh, great. What a wonderful... Let's listen to it
But
4
listen
times
to the
over this week.
subtext of the lyrics, okay? My pussy tastes like Pepsi Cola. What do you think that actually means, Rory? It's a clear statement coming out in support of the war in Iraq. That's all you need to know.
So it sounds like a very established conglomerate viewpoint in which we are supposed to support large business corporations in an act of subservience.
Did you guys see the video
Also
of
boobs.
how they load fish into a pond and they just like shoot them through a tube?
Yes.
But they overlay that
Yeah.
Lana Del Rey monologue that she does where she's like, it was the
I have not seen that.
the midsummer of my life or something like that. And she just goes on this thing, but it's just a picture. The video is just the fish getting shot through this tube as she's giving this monotone, like supposed to be very deep spiritual speech. Oh my God. I highly recommend it.
I gotta say, I've seen every video of fish being fed through tubes, so I don't know how I missed the one where they overlaid it with Lana Del Rey. It's two of my favorite things.
Lana Del Rey to the fish through a tube search on Pornhub. You'll get it.
It's on Pornhub too. There's people masturbating
I
to it.
get something very
guarantee.
different when I look for fish through a tube.
Hey, see, this ties into the last one. We were talking about our fetishes. Apparently, that awoke something in me. Yep, fish through a tube. That's what gets me going.
Second only to glass coffee tables.
Oh no!
Rory likes his eggs Danny Thomas style.
What are they gonna do with that glass table? Why is that man on the bottom side of it?
Why does he look so enthused?
Oh, they're pouring a mix of cocoa powder and water over it. Oh, that's not what that is.
Hey, that's tricky, man.
Well-
You got to control the exact amount you have in your bowels, because if that flows off the edges of the glass coffee table, it's not a sexy fantasy anymore. It's a Gallagher
You're
show.
ruining that shag rug.
Well, hey, if somebody's under that glass table, at least they're a lot more protected than they are in. There's probably a video just like it without that glass table.
Yeah.
You know?
Or there's some arterial
girls,
spray
one
that
cup.
hits the camera guy.
Yeah, there's another level of bad we can get to there.
Yeah.
See, here, I think that's, like, to bring it back to last episode.
Oh, no.
That's
Oh,
why,
no.
like, for some reason, porn doesn't exactly sit well with me all the time, because my brain goes to everywhere you're not supposed to when you're watching porn. And my thought is, like, I wonder if the cameraman's wearing nose plugs. There's no way that room doesn't fucking stink. Come
No,
on.
Rory, the man's a
Has no one else
goddamn
ever thought of
professional. He
that?
breathes through his nose like an adult.
That poor woman is getting boned in her ass, and she is farting every 3 pumps. So that room smells like
that's what the
shit.
video, that's what the
I'm
video
sorry.
editing is for. Right? Yeah.
Oh, she's putting it in her mouth.
They're not filming in smell-o-vision yet.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Yet.
I'm just saying, I look at every single one of those and I go, they're taking shots between, are they spraying Febreze in between shots?
But I
think
will
so.
say, smell-o-vision, like you think about it, people are like, oh, the more interactive porn gets, the better it'll be. That might be where you draw the line, because all of a sudden you're like, oh, that looks like a great scene, but then you get blasted with the smell of something rotten, and you're like, now you start to, since scent is the sense most closely associated with memory, you're going to start to really fuck yourself up.
But porn leads the way still, Geoff. So there won't be any like smell-o-vision movies where you're like, oh, it smells like I'm in that Italian restaurant before it smells like I'm in that room with the double penetration going on. It's just not going to happen with one without the other. It's not. It's always the same thing. We have DVDs now because they adopted that over Betamax. Porn did that shit.
Do you think that they're going to do like smell-o-vision in stereo?
VHS
Like-
over Betamax.
like, am I gonna-
I'm sorry, I gotta correct
Like,
myself.
you know, like
Go
you're
on.
playing a video game and you're wearing surround sound headphones. You can hear if sounds behind you. You know, you can get
Yeah.
the directional point of the sound generally. And with movies now, too, you can. But with smell-o-vision, do you think they're going to pan that smell at all left to right? So it's like you're in a certain scene with more than two people. You know, so there's a person on one side and a person on the other. And you know which side that certain smell is coming from. So maybe next time you see a video, it's got that person in it. You're like, you know what? He smelled a little bad last time. I'm not going to watch him. Yeah.
Not at first. Not at first, but eventually you'll see that scene. It's like that point of view porn. You'll have your VR goggles on. You'll be watching this dude tag some chick, and some dude will be walking through the scene behind, fart. And you're like, oh, I can. What? oh, jeez.
Well, you have to
That's
do
why-
a soft rollout, and you have to unfortunately take a step back. To move forward, you have to go back to where it began and go back to print porn and make scratch and sniff porn.
Oh, that is unpleasant.
What's
Well, okay.
That's nothing I'd make a soft drink out of.
Pretty much, whole thing smells like shit. I don't know what to tell you. It's a terrible idea. Well, we're going
It's like
ahead
they
with it.
shit on this
so-
page. Yeah, the Japanese investors are very, very pleased.
Oh my god.
I think that's it, guys.
Yeah, I
that's it.
think Jeff's got himself a game to get to. We did scratch
Thank God
and
you don't have to
sniff
smell those
porn.
other poker players.
Well, that was a wonderful time. Again, I would like to promote this podcast. You know, I know this is only going to the listeners of this podcast right now, but listen more, listen again. You know, get those numbers up for these gentlemen, because this is
Tell
quality quarantine entertainment. Quality.
And if you guys get this particular podcast, to 100 listens before the end of next week, I will shave my head and put it on Instagram with beard clippers, so you know it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, you guys fucked up. He was going to show Onion Bag for the last one. He was got the Doja Cat one to 100, and you didn't.
Yeah,
And you
thought
guys
he was
failed.
gonna.
So you guys get this to 100 listens, I will go on Instagram and I will show my bald ass head. I'll shave. I've been growing out a beard. I tell you what, and I'll rock just a mustache until I get back to Vermont.
And do like the bare
And I
knuckle
will- I
boxer
will-
thing where you've just
Okay.
got the curly stash.
Okay.
Nothing else.
Okay, well, now we're
Yes,
now we're
exactly.
just negotiating. So, if this gets 200 listens by the end of next week,
I will show my
Will-
butthole. No, just kidding. No one
will
wants
you
to see
get a tattoo of your butthole on your shoulder?
that. No. That shit's forever.
Okay, butthole was too much. Will you get a tattoo on your shoulder?
I'll get the words tattoo on my shoulder.
Okay, 200 listens. You heard it here first. And Koch is the one that edits this. Don't
You
take
guys are-
this out, Koch.
Oh, fuck no.
I'll shave my head for 100.
Verbally binding.
I'm afraid of needles. So I will shave my head and I'll rock the porn stash for a whole week.
Okay.
Okay, or however long. I tell you what, I'll do it till the end of June even. And I'll do regular updates on the Instagram where I'll show you. Still hanging out here like I'm on set at a porno.
Still look like Dr. Robotnik. Check in tomorrow.
I'll get the glasses. Tune in to this week. We're talking about things that make us cry. I'll do it. That's how little faith I have at this hitting 100 views by the end of the week.
I think
Well, that's because we don't have contempt for our audience. We know they're not going to come through for us, and we respect that.
yeah, but you must.
We
you must
respect the
get-
hell of it 'cause
you
they're
must
just
get
like us.
positive numbers every week. You know.
We get pretty
Yeah.
good numbers. It's been a little tough during the. It's hard to check the metrics because certain things don't give us the metrics. A lot of our listeners listen on SoundCloud, but we don't get the metrics for people who listen on Apple or Stitcher or any of the other ones, which is
Yeah.
okay. Keep listening on them. Apple's super useful because that's where we get our reviews from, which is, again, something I wanted to bring up. One person gave us a 1-star review, but didn't leave a review itself. And God, if you know who it is, please tell me because I want to get them on the podcast so bad. I want to talk to them desperately. We really appreciate all the 5-star reviews that you guys have been giving us, all the positive reviews, and all the wonderful things you've had to say. But damn it all, if I don't want to talk to that 1-star person. where did your life go wrong? Where you were that petty? I want to ask them. I really do. At least tell us why we suck.
It was probably
sounds
Mark.
like you guys are talking out your dick
Mark
holes.
from Love Is Blind.
Yeah.
Yeah. These guys hurt my feelings.
Where's Damien? I don't like how much these guys talk about sodomy and racial politics.
And I heard that pale one say "God damn it" one time.
Yeah. If that's what upsets people, then that's a badge of honor.
And honestly,
love it.
Honestly, it could be anybody, any one of us, anybody that I've been on the podcast, any other guest you've had on the podcast, anybody could be the pale one, I'm sure.
At this point.
Not like this pale one.
We are also on Spotify officially. So
We just got on Spotify.
Oh,
We did it.
I will make a suggestion for the folks that are on Spotify, especially premium. You can just set a podcast on a loop. Each one of those playthroughs is a fresh listen. So if you're not doing anything, if you're just sitting around watching TV, just put your phone on silent. Turn on Skimbo Lounge podcast. Just let it rip. Let it run.
Not like this, Geoff.
Hey,
Not
man.
like
we
this.
have integrity.
I want fresh views. Let your 4th grade kid listen to it. I don't understand what this
Play
is.
it for your dog
Shut
when
up.
you're out for dinner.
Are you a teacher? Do you have a classroom full of impressionable students?
Yeah,
Play
play
the
the
Skimbo
Skimbo Lounge
Lounge.
for them. They'll learn
But
something.
play it on all of their phones. Don't play it just on yours and broadcast it. Have them all listen on their individual devices, preferably
in the age of
preferably from different Wi-Fi points.
in the age of social distancing? I mean, they're going to have to. So really, it's just tips for your survival. This doesn't really serve us. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just trying to help.
Yeah.
That's all.
We're
That's what
trying
this
to
is
teach
about.
you something, you dumb motherfuckers.
Let us learn you.
All right. Well, Geoff, anything you want to plug before we go?
I mean, you can follow me on Twitter if you want. I don't really tweet.
What's that?
It's at dude_Mansky. I mean, I don't tweet a lot. I do a lot of retweets. So if you like weird accounts getting retweeted, I'm your guy.
There you
And
go.
then I'll retweet a lot of Skimbo Lounge stuff too.
Well, we surely appreciate it.
Yeah.
Rory, you got anything you want to
We
plug
sure
before we
do.
go?
I sure did. No, I don't.
Okay, I'm still working on that scat fetish for you, buddy. We're going to get you there.
Great. One day, subscribe to my Pornhub account and get scarred forever.
Uncle Splatty over here.
No one's supposed to know I'm Uncle Splatty.
Well,
I was going to take that to the grave.
until next time, for friend of the pod, Geoff, for Uncle Splatty, and for myself. Good night.
Piece of shit.
Go fuck yourselves, and goodbye.